Hey, how you doing? Uh, Good afternoon. Good afternoon here in West Africa. Good morning on in the US. Good afternoon in the UK. Wherever you joining us from. It's just a time I get to come online here on Instagram Live, Facebook Live, and it's going to go on YouTube also. And every Sunday in the afternoon, just do a book club. We're reading several books. This is our sixth book in the series we're reading right now, and it's The Good Life. It's a book that was released here in January. It's The Good Life by Robert Waldinger and Matthews. The book they released here in January of this year, and it's a compilation of the result of adult development study, by the Harvard School for Adult Development, and it's being led right now by Robert Waldinger and Mark Schultz. So this is just a compilation of their study, the results, so try to see the study, the results, and see what we can learn from it and how we can apply it into our own individual lives and, increase our consciousness and our living, so that's all we're trying to do going through the book. So we're presently reading chapter 3. We've done 2 segments on chapter 3. This is going to be the 3rd segment on chapter 3. The first segment was just like an introduction to chapter 3. And chapter 3 is just talking about relationship on the winding road of life. Relationship pretty much in adulthood. That's what we're looking at in chapter 3. So we had an introduction to it the first week. Last week we talked about adolescence, and today we're going to be talking about young adulthood. That's what we're going to focus on today. This time is pretty much me talking to my young self, right? I'm 56, so I do not qualify as an adolescent, nor do I qualify as a young adult. I do qualify as what you might call a late adult. So when we're talking about me, next week, that's going to be the 4th and possibly last segment in chapter 3. Even though I'm not in adolescence right now, no, am I a young adult right now? Obviously, there are stages of life that I've lived through. Right. I wish I knew the things I know today and I would have had to live it better. So this is my opportunity to talk to my younger self, about things that I could have done that would help me to lead and gain or optimize or have the best value, from my young adulthood. That's what I'm hoping to get from the engagement today as we go through it. Maybe I'll get some of my people to come along, but if no one comes along, we'll see what we can do. Typically it's best when we have an interaction, but we'll make the best of what we have. That's what life is, right? Life is not about crying over spilled milk. You make the best of what you have, so that's what we do, right? So I'm going to bring up my slides here, and you're not going to see it on Instagram Live, but you're going to get to see it on Facebook Live and also on YouTube, but I'm going to bring through it, and we're going to run through the slides and talk about young adulthood today. That's what we're focused on. So again, we're talking about relationship on the winding road of life. We're pretty much talking about relationship in adulthood. That's what we're focused on. And this is just looking at a chronological age, drawing here. And pretty much we get born with children, Then when we hit like age 10, thereabout, or we call it age 12, in our study here. We get into teenage age, right? 12, 13, we become teenagers, right? And the expectations upon our life begin to change, right? Not just expectations of people, but there begins to be some physiological, physical, mental change, hormones begins to flow through the body, and those hormones begin to demand new things from us, begin to grow features that mark us out as in the gender that we have, and those begin to force us to change, as it were, and whether we'll enjoy it or make the best of it, is the way we handle those cards, those hormones that begin to flow in the body of the adolescent. And we did a bit of talk around that last week, so that happens until age 19, right? Age 19, it's the end of the teenage phase or adolescent phase of life, then we'll go to age 20, actually, the World Health Organization considers youth, right, to go up to 24, but that doesn't change adolescence. Adolescence, from an age bracket, goes up to 19, right? Teenage. That doesn't mean that, not everybody, it's not a sudden break, right? There's an overflow to the young adulthood. No, not everybody's prepared or becomes a young adult immediately just because the chronological, age is there, that there are overlaps, between the two. Yeah, and as we talk about the young adulthood, we'll probably begin to see a bit of that, So from age 20, and different people bracket it in different ways, right? People talk about the young adult, the middle adult, the late adult, and the elderly, and people bracket it in different ways. The most popular one is, some people bracket from 20 to 30, 20 to 35, 20 to 40. Our book puts it as 20 to 40, right? Which pretty much will carry the early or young adult, and will carry some of the part of the middle adult. But probably it's more popular to stay with a 20 to 40. There's that popular saying that life begins at 40, right? So the young adult phase of life is pretty much to prepare us for life. We're children, where we're dependent. We become adolescents, teenagers, where we begin to gain independence, want to use that independence. We begin to tear ourselves away from the things that are holding us to themselves, begin to claim our independence, as we grow, right, through the adolescent period, right, and through the young adult period, we begin to then use that independence that we have gained and we're gaining, to prepare ourselves for life. Right. So typically we say life begins at 40 is because through the young adulthood, we're now seemingly prepared, to harness life. We're seemingly at a point where we're supposed to know what we have, and have our armory prepared for the battle of life. The brain development itself does not end until mid-20, for some people, late 20s. So the brain is continuously developing, right, from all the development that is taking place, through the childhood, through the adolescent period. The last part of the brain to develop is called the prefrontal cortex, which is just a part right behind the forehead, right? And that's a place that we need to make decisions. Is the place we need to make decisions, to plan, and pretty much to harness life. The prefrontal cortex is that place also that makes us curious. Right, in a sense, it's the parallel of the conscious mind. So as it develops, I guess, where it increases our consciousness, it increases our awareness, right? And that part of the brain is not fully developed until mid-20. So that's why a lot of people will talk about will extend the youth and sometimes extend adolescence up to age 24, 25, because they're trying to map it with the brain development. The prefrontal cortex is not fully developed until mid-20, 24, 25, and in some cases late 20. Then your brain is now then ready, to face life. So through the young adulthood, your brain is developing. Your brain, one of the armory that you need to face life is developing, right? So that's why sometimes also people will advise, right? People will ask, what's the best age to marry, right? And though some people get married, 18, 19, yes, you are now from 19, end of your teen, you're now becoming an adult when you're 19 plus, but changes are still taking place in your body. Even the body, I read, physical body doesn't finish developing until late 20s, right? So sometimes then it's advisable not to marry until 24, 25, when your ability to truly make decision is developed, right? Your brain is fully able to take cognizance of all the factors you need to make the right decision in life, right? So even though it's not a causal science, but it's probably plus minus is probably best to wait to marry till about 24, 25, thereabout, then maybe you're sure of what you're doing. 18, 19, you don't fully have your brain, so you see sometimes and it's not cultural. If you're willing to make the sacrifice, you can always make it work, so, but if it's possible, it's good to wait. If you're willing to make the sacrifice to make it work, yeah, but it's what you might call on the average. If you're then looking at the changes that are taking place on the inside of you, right? Your brain is not fully developed, right, until you're about 24, 25, so then you probably best time to make the decision for your life, right? But I'm beating that a bit. Let me move on that. So talking about the young adults, again, the book puts it from 20 to 40, right? As the young adults, and pretty much it's a transition period, right? But don't forget, again, like I said, your brain is growing. Your brain is developed, but it's fully developed at 24, 25, and for some people, late 20s, right? So you then have your 30s, as it were, to use the fully developed brain, to harness life, to get you fully settled to live life, right? So it is a transition period because, again, your physical body itself does not stop growing until about late 20s, right, on the average. For some people, it could come earlier. So for some people, it come later, but there's a whole lot of development taking place in your body through this process, and your ability to know what is going on in your body, the hormones that are flowing inside of you. It helps you to use those changes for your own benefit, and not that they would use you, right? If hormones use you, you're going to have a disaster of a life. You're not going to win in life. Winning in life is about understanding the things that are going on in your body, in your brain, within your system, and your ability to harness it for your own good. Again, we'll talk about a SWOT analysis, right? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? Then what are my threats? What are my opportunities, right? There are a lot of opportunities, right? As a young adult, right? You still have a whole lot of life ahead of you. You have strength. You have time. Those are opportunities, right? But you also have threats. It's because, like I said, your brain is developing. You're probably not fully aware of life. You're going that awareness, consciousness. You don't have experience, right? You can't see beyond your nose. You only know what you know, and so You're still learning, you're still trying to get your identity. That we started in adolescence, when you're asking, who am I? Right? You're getting that answer through the young adulthood, and then what you get, the answers you get, you're beginning to use them. And for someone like me, one of those biggest issues I've had, through this period, was knowing who I was, because I'm not like any other person, I am what you might call a Sigma personality, right? And a Sigma personality is not that, it's the rarest kind of personality, right? So I am not like a lot of people. And that has been that troubled me, that confused me, because I saw myself different, and I thought I was just, but as I began to do personality studies, I came to a place of stability, as I began to know that, yes, there are people like me, right? And these are our weaknesses, our strengths. These are the things that we have tendencies towards, and, and we can do something about it, right? And that's important as you go through the young adulthood, you're going to find out who you are, right? You might be an introvert, extrovert, you're melancholy, whatever it is that you are, there's nothing wrong with you. That's first thing you need to tell yourself. Irrespective of who you are, there's nothing wrong with you. If you're the loud person, it's okay. If you are the quiet person, it's okay. If you are whatever, there's nothing wrong with whoever you are, right? It's all about understanding who you are and then using you to win in life. You don't have to be any other person. If you're quiet, you don't have to be loud. If you're loud, you don't have to be quiet. If you're neither, you don't have to be any, right? Just be you, right? So winning as a young adult is about finding out who you are and using who you are to win in life, right? So finding out who you are, finding out your strengths, your weaknesses, and there's a whole lot of study out there, there's a whole lot of study. There's no one that has been born that has not been studied. When I began to study personalities, it kind of amazes me, how predictable those things are. So they are predictable, right? Where, when they stated, it just matches who I am, and kind of almost like magic, almost like someone was reading my mind, right? Irrespective of who you are, you've been studied, and you can find out about yourself and what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, and how to use it for your own good.